Video we're going to look at strings and integers and maybe one or two other data types. We might start there. So at the moment I've said that we can concatenate or join words together using a plus symbol or using a comma. We're going to take a look at numbers now. So I can delete all of this, and instead of saying print a string, I can just say print 123, a number. Notice that the number is in black. We haven't got any quote marks around it. Okay, that is called an integer or a whole number. So if I run my program, Python is quite happy. It understands that that's a number and prints it out to the screen. So that's good. But what happens if I try to join two numbers together? So I'm going to join 123 and 123. Going to run my program and see what happens. This time the output is 246. In fact, it's not joined them together at all, it's actually added them. So if I have quote marks around my numbers, so let's do that, let's put quote marks around them. So I've now turned 123 into a string and the second one into a string. So I now have a join of the two strings. My output should be 123, 123. And there we go. So the plus symbol operates differently depending on what I'm printing out. If I'm printing out strings, it will join them together and give me the value 123, 123. If I am printing out numbers, the plus symbol acts as the mathematical operator plus and performs the operation 123 plus 123, and we end up with 246. There we go. Now we have a problem if we try to mix the types. Oil and water don't mix, and data types in Python don't mix either. This is a number data type, a whole number called an integer, and if I put quote marks around it, that becomes a string or string literal. I'm going to stop using the word string literal shortly and just use the word string. But these are now different data types. Okay, a string and a number. And when we run the program, Python doesn't like joining different data types together, and we get an error message. And we read the error message from the bottom and work our way up. So the bottom line always tells us what the error is, and it says a type error, meaning data type error. It says can't concatenate. Remember that word concatenate means join. Can't concatenate a string, str, so it doesn't put out the whole word, it just uses the first three. String and an integer. And again, it's only used three letters instead of the whole word integer, so it can't join a string and integer together, and it calls these things objects. Now Python tries to give you where the error message occurred in your program, so it's saying I think it happened there when you tried to join them, and it tells you what file it was in. Now at the moment you'll only have one file, but later on you may be having several files which go together to make up your program, and this will tell you exactly which file the error occurred in or where it stopped the program, and it tries to tell you on what line the actual error occurred. The word traceback we will see later. We will see how to trace programs much later in the course, but that is how to read an error in Python. So what it's saying is can't concatenate string and integer objects together. Before I go any further into this, I am going to turn this into a different kind of number, 123.45. Okay, now you know that as a decimal number. I'm going to run the program and see what error message we get. And there we go. Same sort of error message as I had before, but this time it can't join string and float. Okay, so it's no longer an integer, it's called a float. It's called a floating point number. That means that point can float anywhere, so it could be 1.235, 1. Or 1234.5. It floats in the number, and that is actually a different data type to an integer, and that also will give us problems at some point. So when we start looking at numbers and data types and things like that, you need to be aware of exactly what data types are, and I will show you why they're a problem and how the computer deals with them, particularly with memory and how they're stored in memory. So that's an issue, it's a problem. So I'm going to take that 0.45 off, and we know this gives us an error. However, if I change that plus symbol to a comma, now Python is quite happy and will display the number. It's almost like it's got two statements. Print 123 and print 123 as a number. So let's run that program and see what happens. There we go. The difference is this time is it's not just join them 123 123. It's got a space in the middle, and we saw that before when we were playing with joining strings together with a comma. So it actually, the comma actually allows you to join two different data types, and it just puts a space in between. It's like using two print statements. And I can do the same with the floating point number. If I run that, there we go. I've got 123 and 123.45. So we can sort of join things together on the screen as long as we use the comma and not the plus symbol. The plus symbol, when we're dealing with numbers, is adding, so it knows we've got a number there. It would try to add it to the string. That makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. You can't add a number to a word, so it crashes the program. And that's basically what that is. I want you to take away with you from this lesson the fact that numbers and strings are different, and we're going to deal with input now, and that is an area where this is of utmost importance and a good likely cause of where you might get crashes in your programs.